So we're going to talk about visualization, the power of the mind. And this is one of my favorite reggae artists. He's in England. His name is Maccabee. He's, I guess, like a dub poet. And he's backed by this guy named the Mad Professor. And they have this band. It's if you like reggae, you will really like Maccabee. And I'd like to open up with a few bars of. So, want to open up with the scripture from the Hosea. This is Book of Creation, creation of Ra's Ptah, number 2, and it says, "It is Ptah, a form of Ra, the most great, who has given existence to all the divine powers, and through their essence, through his heart, mind, and tongue. Thus it came to pass that the heart, mind, and tongue ruled all the other members through the teaching that Ptah, Ra, is within everybody as heart and mind, and within every mouth as tongue. All of the divine powers, all of humankind, of cattle, of all creeping things, of all living things. And he thinks as heart and mind, and commands as his tongue whatever he wishes." So this may not make any sense right now, but as we get on further, I'm hoping that it will. So Ptah conceived everything in his heart and mind and brought everything into being through the power of his spoken word, is essentially what this is saying. And then in the Hebrew canon, many of you may be familiar with this this passage, Mark 11:24. "Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." That's Mark 11:24. Now, let me check. What's that mean? Yep. So one of my favorite basketball players is a guy by the name of Dr. J. And Dr. J, or Julius Winfield Irving Jr., better known as Dr. J, one of the most iconic figures in basketball lore, an incredibly gifted athlete. And I read once in a book about his life where he said he would visualize in his mind doing a spectacular move and the next day execute that move on the basketball court in a game. So those of you that are not familiar with Dr. J, Dr. J, I mean, if you searched him on YouTube, he does some really spectacular dunks. And people like Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, a lot of the great basketball players, Kobe Bryant, Dominique Wilkins, a lot of them base their game on Dr. J. Dr. J is like one of the greatest players, and he did all these fantastic things. But it seems as if he would visualize himself doing those things, and then the next day executing those moves. So my wife had a vision. She did visualization of moving our sons into position in order to give birth. So we've been blessed with 2 sons, and this is them. This is Kaba's. It was a Christmas program when he was in preschool. And he had an African-American teacher, Miss Veronica, and she put that crown, that red, black, and green crown on his head. These are our sons, Ra and Kaba. And when my wife was carrying them in the womb, I forget which one was which, but one was positioned backwards. I think that's called breech. And the other one was positioned sideways. And, you know, you go to the doctor and see how you're doing, you know, when you're giving birth. And, you know, they would come back, okay, this one is backwards, this one is sideways. And so what my wife did is that she visualized them moving into place so that she could give birth. And when it came time to deliver, they had moved into the right position to give birth. So that's something that I actually witnessed. She would go into a visualization, and so she didn't have to have a C-section or anything like that. So another case for visualization, and there she is, Mrs. Al-Kabelan, Mama Al-Kabelan, as she is known. And so when I was talking to her about vision, she recommended something called a vision board. And I said, what is that? And so she said, a vision board is a tool used to help clarify, concentrate, and maintain focus on a specific life goal. Literally, a vision board is any sort of board on which you display images that represent whatever you want to be, to do, or to have in your life. You know, you identify your vision and give it clarity. You reinforce your daily affirmations. You keep your attention on your attention on your intentions. And so that's what a vision board is about, roughly. And here's an example. Sorry, this slide didn't come out so clear, but you put all the things that you want, that you're thinking about, on your vision board, and you know, you keep that in the forefront of your mind daily. So I'm going to pause here and take questions. If there are any questions, any observations that you would like to, please feel free to jump in.
I would like to say something.
Go ahead, Judy.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, I was going to say I can't share the name of it, but I know a brother here in Atlanta, and his brother practices a form of yoga. And the story that I've heard about the brother is that he had a stroke and he was paralyzed, you know, unable to walk. And I don't know exactly the level of his immobility or whatever you call that. But he started using a form of yoga that requires visualization. And he was able to visualize himself in various physical yoga positions. And over time, with an extreme practice, and I don't know what the duration of time was, however, he ended up back completely in motion, and he goes around talking about it.
Wow.
Traveling. So I'm going to have to try again to find, he gave me his number. The brother gave me his number not too, while back. And unfortunately, I wrote it on something, but I'm going to see if I could find out, but it's a form of yoga.
That's interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else?
I think of positive thinking, and I think there may be some synergy between positive thinking and visualization. And I can recount over the breadth of my own life when I've been in situations, and just believed and thought positively that I would succeed. And in many cases, I have. And so I just thought of it as positive thinking, but as I said earlier, it could very well be a part of visualization as well. And just the belief that ultimately you will be successful in whatever endeavor that's in front of you.
Yes, I believe that as well, Katabasi. Baba Jeff, go ahead.
I was just going to say, first of all, I'm a Untitled family.
Oh, good job, Sineb.
When I was I'm always thinking back to this. When I was a child, I did this naturally, and it wasn't like a conscious thought. It was a child thing. And I think me and you, Minister Imhotep, we were talking about sports the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about that after we got off the phone. And when I was a child, I used to write athletes and people I liked, letters and to get their autograph and so on. And I think it started there because I would imagine them reading my letter, and then signing something, a picture, and then they would mail it to me. And I would the whole time after I mailed that letter to them, I would visualize getting them doing that. And then I would get the mail. My father was a letter carrier at the time. So I was constantly thinking about getting mail all the time. So I would get it and I would see their picture and I'd see their autograph. And so that it's an interesting thing. So I just kind of, kept doing that as a child. So that's the positive message here, that it does work. Because as a child, I was very positive child, I think, because I felt like whatever it is I wanted to do, I knew I could imagine it happening. That was as a child. But okay, over this arc of, being in school and, all of the things that Black folks have to deal with.
All the things that you accumulate. Yeah.
All of it. And then the doubt starts to creep in. And now the ability to visualize things happening the way I want them to go is constantly competing with the voice that says, I don't know about that.
Yeah. The rational mind.
Right, I just wanted to say that. So thank you for this, Baba. Sure.
Yes. Tony, go ahead. Uh-huh.
Yes, I have visualized manifested a lot of things in my life, and I do have a visualization board. It's actually in my bathroom where I have to see it, every day, and it's mostly pertaining to me doing music and being successful in that. But I have to agree, it does work. It has worked for me. So yeah.
Well, all right. That's good. Anyone else before we move on? Bauman Daly, and those of you that just joined us, we're talking about vision today, and our guest wasn't able to make it today, so you guys are going to have to suffer through me. So we're talking about visualization, and so when we go back to the PowerPoint, I want to start with this book that I read, and it was called The Electric Jesus. And just when you hear that, it's like maybe Jesus is coming out pop locking or something like in the apostles, but it was this book called The Electric Jesus, and there's a couple of quotes I think are important. So let's head on there. All right, I think I'll move this down and. So this is the book, Electric Jesus by Jonathan Phillips, The Healing Journey of a Contemporary Gnostic. And those of you that know, that word Gnostic is Greek and it means to know. Those were the first people that were killed by the Romans, the people that knew, and then they changed it from a religion where people knew to something that you believed in. All right. So these are some quotes that he gave. He says, even common Christian terms reveal clues to this ancient transformational process. The original Greek word for sin, hamartia, turns out to be an archery term meaning missing the mark. This nuance lacks the guilt and shame pastors have used for centuries to control their flocks. Missing the mark simply indicates a state in which seekers have strayed from their path and need to get back on course. Similarly, the Hebrew name for Satan translates as adversary, highlighting the ego personality attachment the soul needs to overcome in order to reach higher states of consciousness. The Greek metanoia is usually translated as repent, but actually means to change one's mind or have a shift in consciousness, which can occur when one absorbs higher frequencies from someone who is closely connected to source, such as Jesus. Most surprisingly, Jesus is not initially our Savior, our Lord and Savior, but rather our Sator, meaning healer or bestower of health, or one who makes whole. Staying connected to the universal spirit, Jesus traveled through the rift of separation consciousness to heal us and bring us back to our celestial home. In the Gospel of St. Thomas, Jesus said, "I am the one who comes from what is whole." And when we finally let go of our attachments to the material realm, we become redeemed, which also means release in Greek. So it's given us some terms. You know, a lot of times we throw out those terms, repent. A couple of weeks ago, I was in a meeting and people were talking about exorcism and the devil made me do it. Go ahead, Amadi. Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to see what you guys thought about this particular idea. So, I've been meditating on it. I see Jesus as a netter. And if we looked at Jesus as a netter, a force of nature, then I think we would be looking at Jesus the way our ancestors did. And we wouldn't even have to, say, well, we wouldn't have to, have any negative things about this idea of Jesus if we realize that he's within the company of the netter root. And therefore, what he represents in terms of his, when you think of spiritual authority, you think of forgiveness, and you think of love, then, you think about, well, then that's that aspect of the divine, So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there as
beautiful.
a way that I look at Jesus.
I like it. Thank you for sharing that. That's a very good way to see. Anyone else before we move on?
I would like to say one quick thing.
Yes.
I really like the idea too of that, what the brother just said about him being a netter. But before you even brought up Jesus, I was going to make another comment, and that was dealing with the idea that, the analogy that he said, that the Bible says that Jesus says, "These and greater things ye shall do."
Mm-hmm.
I look at that as the more study I do now, I really am coming into this realization that we are co-creators, and that when we talk about visualization and the powers that we have to manifest and create, that we really have those powers. And so Jesus was saying, if we want to use that, his verbiage, "These and greater things you shall do." So, we can do even greater things in many of the miracles. And the only other thing was a comment in this paragraph when you said redeem, when they said release and redeemed. I thought to myself that that's really what keeps us from being spiritual beings, is because of our holding on to the material and trying to, attach. When we let all that stuff go, we are much more likely to be in our higher self.
You know what? You guys are just really so heavy and deep. I feel like I should let you all make the presentation. You guys are, yes, indeed. Thank you both for sharing. Anyone else before we move on? Yes. So now I want to talk about this person, not an African, but a person I think that people should know more about. And he's Nicola Tesla. The cars are named after him, but nowhere near, they're doing nothing close to what he accomplished. Okay. You see he's holding a light bulb, and he's standing next to one of his inventions. It's a Tesla coil, and the light bulb lights up when he's near that Tesla coil. There's nothing plugged in. He's holding a light bulb, and yeah. So here's some of the inventions, and most people don't know about Tesla. They don't teach Tesla in school. But here are a list of some of his inventions that we use every day. So one is the Tesla coil. We're going to say where those are, and we're going to show some later on. Magnifying transmitter, Tesla turbine, the radio. Now, most people believe that Marconi invented the radio. Well, what happened is Marconi stole Tesla's design, and Tesla won the patent case in court. So Tesla actually is the one who gives us the radio. Neon lamps, remote control. Just think about that every time you change the channel or open your garage door. Alternating current. Before there was alternating current, there was direct current, and it was a lot of it was a lot of things. It was a lot of dangers fraught with electric direct current. So he switched us from that to alternating current, and wireless communication and limitless free energy. And that was put to a stop by his financiers. So talked about the Tesla coil, and these are examples of Tesla coil. And if you're really geeky, you can actually, get a Tesla coil. You can get one already made, or you can get a kit where you can make one yourself. There's all kind of videos that shows you, how you can make it, and actual lightning comes out of the Tesla coil. Now, he did this thing. It's called the Wycliffe Tower, and this was in Colorado, someplace. It was over moving water deep down, and what he was going to do was to transmit electricity around the world for free. But his financier, J.P. Morgan, and others didn't want that to happen. So, but our ancestors did something in the ancient times, going back 20,000 years. There's a book, it's called The Giza Power Plant. Now, no bodies or sarcophagi have been found in these great perneters, house of the spirit, house of God, but the materials that it's made from are highly electrical conducive. So, and that's what this diagram is showing. And this is from the book called The Giza Power Plant. So, harnessing the current, you can actually get and transmit electricity. And there's water underneath the Giza area. Some are natural aquifers, and some are man-made tunnels. And this water the sun hitting it produced electricity. The Nile used to be closer to the Peneters or the pyramids. This is a photograph, so you can see how close the water is to it. The water was actually 8 miles closer to the pyramids than it is now. And this is a diagram of the aquifers and the natural aquifers, and they're actually man-made tunnels to produce electricity. So that information comes out of this book called The Giza Power Plant by Christopher Dunn, and he has a background in engineering and manufacturing tools, and his theory, along with others, is that those things that we call the pyramids were not tombs, but they were machines that produced electricity. It's a lot to this. I just want to mention it, but it's in accordance with Tesla's vision. So he designed the first hydroelectric power plant in Niagara Falls, 1895. Invented the Tesla coil in 1891. It's widely used today in radio and television sets. Tesla coils are, and other electronic equipment. Among his discoveries are the fluorescent light, laser beam, wireless communication, wireless transmission of electrical energy, remote control, and robotics. Tesla is the father of the radio and the modern electrical transmission systems. And he has 700 patents worldwide. His vision included exploration of solar energy and the power of the sea. He foresaw interplanetary communication and satellites. So this is somebody, and it begs the question, why don't we know about him? We know about Edison, but we don't know about this guy. So now Tesla's vision, he didn't need a model to test his visions. They appeared before his eyes as functioning realities that he could stop and start as though they were really there. If he thought of an object, it would appear before him exhibiting the appearance of solidity and massiveness. So I'm going to pause again just to see where we are, get the temperature. Oh wow! I didn't realize the sun was coming so strong on me. So any questions, observations, any comments? Hey, Sister Asali, glad to see you. All right. So is this just too boring? It's over your head?
No, not at all. Any background on Tesla in terms of his academic training, his travels, anything like that, or these types of
there was a PBS special. This was in, I want to say, between 97 and 99, and it was called Tesla, Creator of the Lightning. And it was on, that may not be the exact title, but
Master of Lightning.
Say again?
Master of Lightning.
Master of Lightning. Yes, thank you. So it gives a really good biography. Tesla was not really academically trained. You know, he was able to see these things. He's a Croatian. He left Croatia and started working for Edison, and you know, transformed a lot of things for Edison. And then Edison cheated him in some way that I can't remember. And when I was studying Granville T. Woods, who's a brother, Edison tried to steal some of his patents, and Granville T. Woods took him to court and actually won his cases. So Edison was
capitalist.
Yeah, but even stronger. He was a thief in a lot of cases, and so but that's who we remember as the father of electricity. You know,
so would Tesla have been contemporary with Lewis Latimer?
Yes,
they would have been contemporary.
Yes, he would have. And for those of you that don't know, Lewis Latimer created the long-lasting light bulb. He didn't create the light bulb, but the light bulbs before would come on and then they would go off, you know, just like that. But Tesla designed a carbon filament, which allowed the light bulb to burn. You know, I had a friend over a couple of weeks ago, and he was telling me about this agreement. And I don't want to pause my presentation right now, but there was some agreement where, you know, some corporations got together and said, okay, you will design light bulbs that are only going to last this amount of time.
1,000 hours.
Yeah. And there was some agreement that I can't, maybe you remember, Bill, or maybe someone here that's listening.
Yeah, there's a famous light bulb in a fire station that I think is like 90 years old now. Before they got that,
it just burned out.
Okay, I did
that one just burned out. Yeah, so you could really have a light bulb that would just last a lifetime.
But they never get to sell you another one.
But they wouldn't get to sell you another. Yeah.
And that's the capitalist influence that governs so much of what has come out to help build a society. It has been oftentimes hammered and tampered down by capitalists. But Latimer, as you know, was very instrumental in the spread of electricity into Europe.
Yes,
and,
yes.
He was big at that point in time in history, and I find it very interesting that he and Tesla were contemporaries.
Yeah, well, you know, just don't want to go into a lot on Latimer, but Latimer actually learned French so that when he went to Paris, he could give instructions in French.
Yeah.
You know, for lighted streets. So he was a very
brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant man, Lewis Latimer was. So I'm going to get back to if there are no other comments, but if you do have some, you know, we'll take questions or remarks. Anything else? All right. Well, back to it. All right. So where were we? So I want to talk about this thing called the ether. Our ancestors called it the noon. The people in the Indus Valley, they call it the Akash. So Tesla dealt with a substance which he referred to as the ether. He said it was luminiferous ether, and it fills all of space. That the ether is acted upon by the life-giving creative force. He says that the ether is thrown into infinitesimal worlds, microhelices, at near the speed of light to become ponderable matter. that when the force subsides, motion ceases, matter reverts to the ether, which was a form of atomic decay. These are some of Tesla's theories about the ether. He says man can harness it to precipitate matter from ether, create whatever he wants with matter and energy derived, control Earth's seasons. Some people say that this is actually happening. It's usually in the realm of conspiracy theories. This is one thing that actually the late great musician Prince held. And some people believe that there's a project, it's called HARP, and I forgot what that stands for. That's at the north, might be in Alaska or North Pole, I can't remember where. It's someplace north that the United States uses to control the weather. But this is what Tesla was talking about in the early 1900s. He said, originate and develop life in infinite forms. This Tesla information that I'm giving you comes from a book called Occult, Ether Physics by William Line. And essentially what this book is saying is that there are different scientific achievements that happened in the early 1900s that have been covered up. And even the way that they teach physics is a cover up so that most people, it will not lead them to the discoveries of Tesla. Dr. Theophile Obenga. Some of you may know him, Dr. Theophile Obenga. And I like this book that he wrote, Ancient Egypt and Black Africa, although he wrote many other books. So I want to talk about Dr. Obenga so we've left Tesla, we've gone to Dr. Obenga. Dr. Obenga has authored over 10 books on Egyptology and history, philosophy, and science. He was a protege of the great scholar Sheikh Anta Diop. In his book, Ancient Egypt and Black Africa, he gives us a definition of the noon. Says the noon is, and this is how you would write it in Medu Neter. This is one way to write it. He says, before the world, such as it is, before sky, before the earth, before men, before death, before the Neteru, before what was to be and come into existence, there was something, the noon. The noon is not really definable. It is a state of the world or matter before everything which constitutes the universe. So this was a state of which the universe was in before planets, stars, moons, galaxies came into existence. And just recently, William Shatner, everybody made a big deal out of William Shatner orbited the Earth. And one of the things that was notable for me when they asked him how it was, he said, we went from the blue to the black. Most people think, from watching Star Trek and others, that if you're out in space, that stars are just going to be whizzing by, but there are light years away from other lights, and what's holding it together is that black mass. Some people refer to it as dark matter. And so this is what the noon is. The noon, another way to write it. This primordial noon can be related to the abysmal water, but it is more like a fluid ether, not real water. This fluid ether this fluid liquid ether is the generator of the Neteru themselves and the rest of creation. This uncreated, fluid, ethereal liquid, very opaque, dense, compact, will involve through the demerge in the process of becoming. So the demerge is Ptah. And this is another way, when you see that kind of zigzag line that kind of looks like rippling water, that is referred to as the noon. That's what our ancestors, that's how they depicted it. Now, I'm going to talk about the Akash as defined by the yogis, and this information comes from Sadhguru's book, Inner Engineering, A Yogi's Guide to Joy. And this is Sadhguru. Some of you may be familiar with him. And, he's really all over. I mean, if you did a search on him, and he travels a lot, and he's based in India, but he has a ashram in Tennessee. Anyway, he's very profound on a lot of things. And so that's where this information on Akash comes from. It says Akash is a Hindu word that is viewed as part of the 5 elements. Most of us think of water, fire, earth, and air, or earth, wind, and fire, after the group. And but there's a 5th element, and it's ether. And actually it's the element because all of the other elements come out of the ether. It is the ether that we refer to as the Akash in yogic terminology. Each human being has a certain dimension of this 5th element around him or her. While the other elements are within the body, the Akashic or etheric dimension envelops the body, usually up to a distance of 18 to 20 inches. Because this element is still physical, it carries information. Anything that happens at a certain level of intensity or profundity in your life is written into this field of Akash around you. And this is where people get the term, the Akashic record. People that are sensitive, people that have a heightened a sense of perception can actually see this Akashic record. And that's why some people can read you, because they're able to see what's around you. And what you do that has a profound effect, is stored in that record. When you gain conscious access to your awareness, you gain access to your Akashic dimension around the planet, the solar system, and the entire universe. Now, I'm leaving Sadhguru to talk about Reverend Ike. And I have to say, okay, I had problems with Reverend Ike when I was growing up. I didn't really, put too much continence into his theories or his talks. And it's mainly because his appearance. I just couldn't get to him. But and I also want to talk about this guy, Neville Goddard. So when I was listening to Reverend Ike, he said that next to the Bible, his book by Neville Goddard is his favorite book. So I went and I searched on Neville Goddard. And Neville Goddard, his teacher was this Ethiopian rabbi that he referred to as Ab. And so I went from Reverend Ike to Neville Goddard to Ab. So this is an artist's conception of Ab. And this is a photograph. And we're talking like in the 1920s. This mysterious brother, showed Neville Goddard what I'm about to show you. All right. So Reverend Ike, I already said I couldn't relate to him when I was younger. Minister Makalisi posted a short video clip of him saying God lives in you as you. And that's me and Makalisi back in the day. I think that was in the 90s. Back then, they used to call me young brother Imhotep. They don't say that anymore. So and, you know, after I saw the video and he said, God lives in you as you, I said, wow, that's true. But I couldn't relate to him because how he looked. It was very superficial. But in the video, Reverend Ike is telling black Christians the truth. That's actually the title of the YouTube video. And I actually have it and I can put it in the chat before we leave. And he's talking in Atlanta. He says, God has no personality except in man as man. God is the real man in me. God is not a big man in the sky. God is the real man in me. God is the presence and power within me right now. God is the mastermind working through me right now. And then he went on to say, your faith is no good until you learn to have faith in yourself. And that's what those of you that spoke, testify to that. He says, how in the world can you believe in somebody in the sky and don't believe in the somebody in you? How can you believe in a Jesus that walked in Galilee, but you can't believe in a God that walks in you? And he says, I don't care how much faith you have in God in the sky, until you have faith in God, in the God in you, your faith is dead. It's no good to you. God in the sky is no good to you. Only the God in you is of any use to you. The most important thing in the world is what you believe about yourself. And this is one of the things that Katabazi was talking about. And this is what Judy was talking about. This is what Tony was talking about. This is what Jeff is talking about. So I'm going to pause right there. And so it's 6:02. I just taking a temperature to see where you all are. Brother Bill has put a lot of good things in the chat, as always. So you might want to save the chat for future reference, or just click on the links that he has put in the chat for us today. Let's see. What did you say, Tony? Let's see. Book 3 Magic Words by U.S. Anderson addressed
Yes.
this. Okay.
I've given this book to a number of people, but at the end of the book, that is his statement. He actually says you are God, but it's a really good book, but it talks about the same things that you just mentioned about Reverend Ike.
Well, in Psalms 82:6, it says, for ye are gods. And then there's another passage, and I forget, it's in the New Testament. And, Jesus had done some miracles, and people were picking up stones to stone him. And then he said, and I'm paraphrasing, like, hey, I just created miracles for my Father. Which ones didn't you like? And he said, and they replied to him and they said, oh, we think the miracles is cool, but you, a mere man, claim to be God. And then he says, well, doesn't it say in your book, for ye are gods? And then they put down the stones. And And that's why when I send an email or a text, particularly a group text, or if I'm posting on social media, I call you all Neteru. Neteru is the plural of the divine principle. We all are divine principles. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. And so every now and then, these people, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I want you to keep that point, but I wanted to say this before I forgot it. When you were talking about Dr. Abenga and Noon,
yes,
you were talking about Tesla and some of the things he's saying. Two things. I of course look at Nova on PBS all the time. And two things that they talked about is just amazing how this connects with that discussion. And it's that they had a discussion about, I can't remember the episode, but they were talking about stars. And one of the points they were making about stars is that way in the future, stars are no longer going to be created, meaning that they're all going to just go out. Okay, they're going to die off, which means we go now to dark matter. And then they were talking about neutrinos. That was another show where they were talking about neutrinos make up dark matter. And I thought it was interesting what you're talking about because it lives in us and through us. Well, the neutrinos that they're talking about this on PBS, if that matters to anybody, in this Nova show, that the neutrinos move through us and are around us. So these are interesting concepts that are consistent with ancient teachings and what we're talking about today. So I wanted to, just to throw that in there. So there were two episodes, the last two episodes of Nova talk about these or allude to these same things. So that's it.
I'm gonna have to go look at that. These things are very interesting to me, and I if you find something, I appreciate Tony last week or a couple of weeks ago sending me the email about Ted Cruz, but no, I need to know. So thank you. If you find out something that you want to send me, you think, hey, Mo, this would be good for you to know, or what do you think about this? Don't hesitate to send me. I'll check it out. I'll look at it. All right.
I would like just quickly, is it possible, Minister Imhotep, is it possible to go back 2 slides so I could take a photograph of those when you were listing it was, I think, 3 pages. I don't know if you were populating them, so I don't know if you had a final, where each page had all of them. If not, please don't worry.
Hold on. Yeah, I think we can do that. Let's see. So we were here. So let's go back. Is that the?
Yes, there were 3 pages, but I may have to get it from you at a later time, which is fine. I could do that too.
Okay, well, yeah, I can drop this. I could send this to you. I'm not sure how big it is. I can send this to you. Judy, I know you've already sent me your email. Can you put it in again? I promise I will get it. And
well, I will email you because I was supposed to email you anyway.
Oh, there you go. So it's imhotepalkebalon@gmail.com. So
okay. Thank you. I don't want to slow down the class. I'm enjoying this class so much.
Oh, give thanks. Okay. So let's see. I see 2 things in the chat. Yeah, see, okay. Oh, Bill says it's still going, that light bulb. But the guy that came over said that it had just burned out after 90 years. But Bill is showing that it actually is still going. So isn't that something? All right. Let's see. I think I did all that. The Reverend Ike. Visualization is, so this is what he says. So this is the meat of it. Visualization is seeing and feeling yourself in your own mind already being, doing, and having the good that you desire. So don't say, I'm gonna do something, or you know, don't put it in a future tense, but just see yourself doing whatever you want, you know, see yourself already doing it. Visualization is seeing, feeling yourself in your own mind already being, doing, and having the good you desire. In the subconscious, there is no time element such as past tense or future tense. In the subconscious mind, it's always now. And whatever you see in your mind or feel in your mind, the subconscious mind deals with it as a present reality. You know, this just isn't like Reverend Ike. This, scientists, psychologists, brain people, they say this, they espouse this. So let me just go back just one more. Let's see. So whatever you see in your mind or feel in your mind, the subconscious mind deals with it as a present reality and proceeds to bring it about to express it on the objective plane of life. You must practice in your own mind, seeing and feeling yourself already being what you want to be, already doing what you want to do, already having what you want to have. And if I can just digress, you know, so when I showed you Ab, so Neville Goddard wanted to go to Barbados. I guess that's where his family is from, but he didn't have any money. He didn't know how he was going to get there. He was talking to Ab, and Ab told him, he says, you're in Barbados. And he says, I'm in Barbados. He says, yes, you're in Barbados. And he wouldn't talk to him about it anymore. If he would bring it up, he would say, you're in Barbados. And then he began to think of himself being in Barbados, where his family was on the beach. And that brought about the circumstances by which he ended up being in Barbados in a relatively short time. Now, I've really minimized that story, but you can search for Neville Goddard. There's a lot of stuff on him, about him. He has books. He's passed on. I think he passed away in the 70s. But that was the way Ab told him about what we're talking about. So visualization, and visualizing, you're using all your senses. You're seeing it, you feel it, you smell it, you touch it, and you involve all your senses as well as taste. And one of the ways that's a practice to visualize, if you can visualize, you open up your hand and visualize a baseball. And you have a baseball. It could be a new baseball. It could be an old batted around baseball, and you can feel the threads. And a baseball is hard. You can't squeeze it. And then leave the baseball, and now you have a tennis ball in your hand. And it's quite a different texture, different color. Now they're making them kind of neon green now. And it's kind of fuzzy, it's lighter, you can squeeze it. That's a good way to test these things. All right. So he talks about, and this is, I think this is what Jeff was referring to. Jeff, you can correct me, but he says, subconscious correlation. It indicates that the subconscious mind knows how to correlate all the necessary details regarding what you visualize and to bring it to pass. So when you then visualization is seeing and feeling yourself in your own mind already doing and having the good that you desire. we went over this verse, Mark 11:24. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have already received it, and it will be yours. And so he says the best time to practice this is just before you go to sleep. And when you visualize, you're on a transliminal level. The objective mind or reasoning mind or intellect doesn't have a chance to talk you out of it. So this is what Jeff was talking about. So he, okay, when you become an adult, you're not as free in your thinking as a child. And so then your reasoning mind, your objective mind comes over and it talks you out of it and says, oh, you can't do that, or that's impossible. Nobody's done that before, etc. And so that's why he's saying, just before you drop off to go to sleep, do this visualization and, let your subconscious take over. He says, your imagination cannot reason, and your reason has no imaginations. When you visualize, you move out of the intellectual area of mind altogether. Subconscious correlation, the affinity between a thought and its thing, the inevitable action of the subconscious whereby it finds, draws, brings together all the necessary mental and material components necessary to fulfillment of any idea or conviction in the mind. Talked about Ptah, and this is, we know about Ptah a lot from this stone. It's called the Shabaka stone. And it was made by a second Purah or pharaoh from the Nubian Renaissance period. So there's Pianki, Shabaka, and then Taharqua. So this is called the Shabaka stone. I forget which museum it's in, but this is how it looks up close. And this is what it's saying. It's saying that Ptah conceived in his heart everything that existed, and by his utterance created them all. He was the first to emerge from the primordial waters and form a hill. Closely following the hill was the Neter Atan, emerges from the hill, and there remain in the waters 4 pairs of male and female Neteru, the Kamunu, the city of 8, and so this is an artist's conception of, okay, here the primordial waters here, Ptah forms the hill, and then Atum sits on the hill and executes creation, and from his body, these different parts of creation come about. So those different parts are the primordial waters and the counter heaven, boundlessness and its opposite, darkness and its opposite, hidden and its opposite. And this is from Stolen Legacy. And these are different representations of the Kamunu, or it's also called the Ogdad, the unity of 8 Neteru. And I like this way that this group, it's called The Secret of the Ankh.com. I like the way that they arrange this. So if you just think of the acronym Ankh, you can memorize Amen, Nun, Kuk, and Het. I included this slide. Now, these last 2 slides, I borrowed from a woman. Her name is Patricia Awian, and she's part of the group called the School of Chematology. And she gave me like just about all of her PowerPoints. When I was in Egypt, she was doing a presentation, and I happened to get sick that day, and I had to leave in the middle of her presentation. I asked her, could I have a copy? She gave me a thumb drive, and it had all of her presentations. But I include this middle part here. If you look at it, what this is, okay, this is really talking about Nun, Atum, Shu, the creation. And this part here, it's referred to as the flower of life. There are like 19 circles. It starts with a point, and then it forms a circle, and then it forms another circle or another circle. This is the way the planets and the solar systems form. And this is the way you and I form. This is mitosis. So when we talk about we're really Neteru, it's really true on so many different levels. The Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, as we're getting close, got about 10 minutes. This is what he said. He had a vision of Africa. He says, I have a vision of the future, and I see before me a redeemed Africa with her dotted cities, with her beautiful civilization, with millions of happy children going to and fro. Lift yourselves up, men, and take yourselves out of the mire and hitch your hopes to the stars. Yes, raise as high as the very stars themselves. And this is Kenya today. This is present day Kenyan skyline. He was talking in the 20s, when it didn't seem possible. People couldn't really conceive of that. This is Nairobi at night. We don't usually think of Africa in these terms. Particularly if we go to Kenya, we're on safari, we're looking at the lions and giraffes, but we don't really think of Africa in an urban setting. And then a movie came out called The Black Panther. And it talked about this mythological place called Wakanda that was more technologically advanced than the West. And here is a kind of a anti-gravity craft coming in for a landing in Wakanda. So my question is, what's your vision? What do you see? Visualization, to repeat, is seeing and feeling yourself in your own mind already being, doing, and having the good you desire. In the subconscious, there's no time limit, no time element such as past tense and future tense. In the subconscious mind, it's always now. Whatever you see in your mind or feel in your mind, the subconscious mind deals with it as a present reality. In visualization, you use all of your senses. You see it, you feel it, you smell it, you touch it. You involve all the senses, even taste. So what does freedom look like? What does justice look like? Affordable housing, quality education, job security, social connection and safety, living wage, access to transportation, availability of food, whatever is your concept. I'm not in your mind. You're the creator. And as we get nearing the close, this symbol that we opened up with, the wearer of this is blessed with high insight and harmony with nature. And this is how we opened. So we're gonna close with, all right, Ashe. So I know I put a lot in there, and yeah, it was a lot, and but
it was great.
I needed to share that.
It was great. Could I say something? I don't.
Yes, you can. Go ahead.
I don't want to mess up the rhythm of how you close, but
no.
This is very powerful to me, because it was something I thought of before. But he said, with anything the mind can conceive without the thought, there is no reality. Well, I was thinking as you were showing this that, you know, that we have everything, that the whole reality we see has been created in our thoughts. And that's one of the reasons that the Europeans, with the destruction of Black civilization, when they realized that we are able to do and manifest all kind of things because of our thoughts, they decided they would take over our thoughts, control us, and keep us from thinking. Because they know that if we think, we're gonna, you know, that's how we're gonna think our way out of this, using our thoughts. But that's it, Alex.
No, that's right on the mark. That's exactly that's exactly what's going on. You know, that's yeah. And you know, Dr. Ivan Van Sertima used to talk about this, and he referred to it as the incarceration of the imagination. You know, so you know, our young men, they don't see farther than playing sports. You know, I know I sound like an old man. It hurts me to hear young women calling each other the B word. You know, it does. It's bad. You know, it's you know, just a lot of the negative things is, you know, and we think, because we've been trained this way, we think that that's our culture. You know, and I know I've used this, I've brought this up maybe one too many times, but you know, when we celebrated our anniversary here in Sacramento, and was in August, we had it in a park, and you know, beautiful program and everything. And then while we were, you know, taking things down, we hear this bap 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 bap, and somebody said, "Is that firecrackers?" And then a concave was there, and a concave said, "I saw them. You know, you know, I said, you know," and I said, "No, you didn't. You did not. You did not see them." And you know, where are you from? You know, no, you did not see. But the point is, you know, and a brother was trying to contact me at that moment, because he had some watchers watching us. You know, he was calling and letting me know something had gone down, and we have people there watching, you know, keeping an eye on you. Because this brother that I'm referring to, you know, when there's like some kind of gang activity and stuff, they dispatch to that area to you know, mediate, or you know, try to calm it down. So some of those people were there, and so I was asking him. I said, what happened? He said, well, the people that grew up in the 90s, they raised themselves. You know, and they refer to themselves as OGs, but they really not, you know. And then he said, we used to have Big Mama, but now Big Mama's at the club, you know. So you know, so you know, the point is, what are we teaching our children? You know, okay, if you don't get it by a certain time, and you have kids, your life should be devoted to them. You know, don't, you know, I'm sorry, wait till they get 18, you know, but they need some kind of guidance.
Right.
And
I would add,
go ahead.
Just final comments, is that our consciousness is bombarded by white supremacist ideas 24 hours a day, which has the tendency to suppress our own innate consciousness that is struggling to become awakening. But the preponderance of white supremacy through television, shows, commercials, print, that constantly pushes the white culture and, you know, and denigrate the true Black culture and uplift the negative aspects. And so that's the sea of confusion that so many of us is swimming in, and our consciousness is really struggling to trying to, to try to find a way out. I think some do. I think a lot do not, and that's unfortunate, and it reflects our predicament.
Well, what this, thank you, Kat, for that observation. You know, what this, what we're talking about today, visualization, is actually saying we're really not limited like we think. Mm-hmm. We're actually only limited by our thinking, you know, and
but the thoughts that we generate, they have to come from the mind.
Yes.
Because in Pomandres and Tehuti reminds us that thoughts come from the mind, that thoughts give rise to reasoning, and that it is reasoning that separates the light from the darkness and establishes truth in the midst of the waters. But the system of oppression is so forceful on us as a minority people that a lot of us are just really struggling because of the environment that we're born into, and some just never are able to rise above that. And unfortunately, a lot of our people are trapped in that cycle of mindless materialism and the big life and showtime and all that, because the system is telling them that that's what is good. That's what you need to strive for. And, until some light can get in there, they're not going to get it in school. They can't get it from their parents. They go out into their local communities and they get the same kind of negative reinforcement. So that consciousness is in there battling and struggling, trying to find a way out until some light comes in there from some other source.
Oh,
really and truly, that is, yes, indeed. Yes.
Could I say just something to that as well?
Sure.
Okay, I was going to say.
Hold your point, Judy. Okay. We're going to go to 6:40. Okay, it's 6:32. We're going to go like 8 more minutes. Okay. All right.
I just have a few little comments to make too.
All right. So you go after Judy, and so Judy, Afua, and then Bamidele. All right.
Okay, I was going to say, I really have a very strong passion to work and help awaken our children. I have a 27-year-old and a 36, but we talk, what the brother just finished saying is it's mindless. I feel as if there is definitely an effort to make thinking is obsolete. There is to be no more thinking. There is being a replacement of giving you thoughts, giving you ideas, and they're presenting and creating. I don't even think it's necessarily white culture that they're pushing on us. They are diabolically strategizing identities for our children to step into that are destructive, very much planned as far as how they're going to destruct the family. These certain, well, I won't go into the gender thing, but they are creating these identities for us to step into without us thinking. We're mindless, and everything that we're entertaining and in is just for our outer senses to, an instant gratification. I just think thinking is, they hope it's obsolete, and they're doing it with behavior modification and these devices, phones, streaming, TikTok, keeping you thinking about senseless stuff. That's it.
Well, that's right. Thank you. Mama Afua, go ahead.
Yeah, just 2 very quick things. First of all, I really appreciate all of this wonderful knowledge and information. And when we look at our ancient traditions, back to Kemet, and the visions that they had, and some of them, are, of course, in hieroglyphics and painted on the walls. The vision that they had sometimes was not just an individual vision. It may have been a group vision. And in our own traditions, especially the Ifa tradition, you go and somebody will help you visualize. And they may visualize some of the things that you can't see yourself. And then when they say it, you realize, oh yeah, that's it. So it isn't just an I, me situation that allows you to move, with your spirit and the visualization that the spirits have provided for you. So just to keep those things in mind, one, that, it isn't just an I thing, it can be a group vision. And of course, that's how Jose got started, a group vision. It wasn't just one person's vision. And look at all of what's happened as a result of that. But, when we talk about the Ifa traditions, especially in a situation like this, I think it's very beneficial too. So if there's a part 2, it would be good to look at, some of those spiritual visualizations. Because they predicted a lot of what has happened.
Well, next week, Brother Wayne Chandler is going to be talking about chapter 4 of his book, Ancient Future. And actually, it does deal with Ifa and how it moved through the ancient Akkadian civilization, and part of it wound up in China and gave birth to such things as the I Ching.
Yeah.
Brother Bobbin Daly, thank you. Thank you, Mama.
Yes, I just have a couple of comments. My favorite Reverend Ike's quote is, "Don't worry what others may say or think about you. Say good things and think good thoughts about yourself." So that was, I remember that from 50 years ago. And then I was at a conference a couple of years ago, and there was a discussion on Afrofuturism, and that some of the critics were accused of policing Black thought or Black futuristic thought, and as a way of controlling. So the critics as police. And then finally, I would say that, and speaking in reference to Ifa, as Mama Afua just mentioned, the Yoruba say, words have power. You can speak things into existence. And so if we can visualize, we can speak things into existence. So therefore, you're always cautioned to be careful what you say.
Yes.
And okay, I'm through.
No, that's really good. No, those are, that's one of the things that and I'm sure Mom and Gina is familiar with this, because she was relating to us in one of our classes that she, recites the 42 declarations. And one of those is to not curse. And that doesn't mean swearing or anything like that. That means, sometimes people curse other people, and that brings a negative vibration, to that brings yes. Yeah, that's right, Tony. That brings a negative vibration. Some people can say things that brings a negative vibration to you, or a negative vibration to a person, a child, a spouse, a friend, and words have power. The Rastas have the similar saying, words, sound have power. So yes.